Micronutrients are generally thought of as protective agents, tiny helpers that maintain metabolic balance, immune strength, and cellular integrity. But when consumed in excess, or metabolized under conditions of chronic stress or inflammation, some of these same nutrients can give rise to metabolites that behave in ways that are anything but friendly. One such compound drawing increasing attention is N-methyl 2-pyridone 5-carboxamide, commonly known as 4-PY, a breakdown product of nicotinamide, vitamin B3. Emerging research suggests that this metabolite may quietly undermine vascular health by promoting inflammation, endothelial dysfunction, and the early stages of atherosclerosis. At the center of this process is the endothelium, the thin, semi-permeable layer of cells that lines the interior surface of blood vessels. A healthy endothelium regulates blood flow, prevents clot formation, and controls the movement of immune cells in and out of tissues. But when endothelial cells are damaged or inflamed, they begin to express adhesion molecules like VCM, 1, vascular cell adhesion molecule, 1, and ICM, 1, which act as molecular glue for white blood cells. This is a key first step in the formation of atherosclerotic plaques. So how does 4-PY enter the picture? It's produced when the body metabolizes excess niacin or nicotinamide. Under normal physiological conditions, small amounts of 4-PY are excreted in urine with minimal effect. But when nicotinamide intake is high, either from heavy supplementation or constant dietary fortification, the liver ramps up its methylation processes to dispose of the surplus. This leads to increased levels of 1-methylnicotinamide, MNA, and, subsequently, 4-PY. These compounds may appear benign at first glance, but recent studies show that 4-PY accumulates in the bloodstream during conditions of metabolic overload and, more importantly, it interacts directly with endothelial cells. In vitro experiments have demonstrated that 4-PY can upregulate VCM, one expression on endothelial cells, essentially placing open for inflammation signs along the inner wall of arteries. This encourages monocyte adhesion, a crucial early event in atherogenesis. Once these immune cells stick to the vessel wall, they migrate underneath the endothelium, transform into macrophages, and begin gobbling up oxidized LDL particles, forming the fatty foam cells that are the hallmark of early plaque formation. In this way, 4-PY acts as a molecular accelerant, not by causing atherosclerosis outright, but by priming the endothelium for dysfunction and lowering the threshold for inflammatory activation. Moreover, 4-PY doesn't act in isolation. It amplifies oxidative stress and may impair nitric oxide signaling, 2 additional blows to endothelial function. Nitric oxide, NO, is crucial for vascular relaxation and blood pressure regulation, but it's also an anti-inflammatory molecule. When NO production is disrupted, blood vessels become more prone to vasoconstriction, leukocyte adhesion, and thrombosis. By increasing reactive oxygen species, ROS, and altering redox balance, 4-PY contributes to this proatherogenic environment. It's a kind of biochemical double agent, originating from a vitamin thought to support heart health, yet gradually sowing the seeds of its decline. The potential for damage doesn't stop there. 4-PY and related metabolites may also interfere with cellular repair mechanisms by altering NAD+/NADH ratios, key regulators of energy metabolism and stress response. High levels of these metabolites may indicate a state of chronic niacin overload, where the body's ability to maintain metabolic balance is already strained. And unlike dietary niacin from whole foods, which is buffered by absorption limits and accompanied by other modulating nutrients, high-dose supplements or fortified food sources may overwhelm the body's natural processing systems, particularly in individuals with slower methylation capacity or compromised liver function. In people with pre-existing cardiovascular risk, like insulin resistance, hypertension, or chronic inflammation, this creates a perfect storm. Elevated 4-PY levels may compound existing endothelial stress, accelerating the progression from subtle dysfunction to full-blown atherosclerosis. And because these changes are molecular and cumulative, they rarely come with obvious early warning signs. You won't feel your VCM-1 rising or notice when your endothelial cells start inviting monocytes to the party. But slowly, silently, the damage builds. The story of 4-PY serves as a cautionary tale about the complexity of micronutrient metabolism. Just because a compound originates from something essential, like niacin, doesn't mean its byproducts are always harmless. Biology is not a straight line. It's a web of pathways, checks, and balances, many of which can tip toward dysfunction when overwhelmed. So, what does this mean in practical terms? It reinforces the idea that nutrient balance matters and that more is not always better. Supplementation should be targeted, informed by clinical need or documented deficiency, not driven by vague promises of vitality or cardiovascular protection. And when it comes to niacin, especially in high-dose or fortified forms, the potential risks of metabolite accumulation like that of 4-PY deserve a place in the conversation, particularly for those already managing cardiovascular risk factors. In the end, the vessels that carry your blood don't care about health trends or vitamin labels. They respond to biochemical signals, both nourishing and inflammatory. And in the case of 4-PY, what begins as a seemingly helpful nutrient may leave a metabolic calling card that contributes, quietly but significantly, to the slow march of atherosclerosis.